Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Justlivin Designs podcast. My name is Shannon, Justlivin Designs, and this is episode number 26. It is September 12th, just a little after 9 a.m., a Thursday, and yeah, we're back. It's chillier out, and I can wear a little bit more seasonably appropriate things. I'll talk about what I'm wearing in just a little bit. I want to talk about where you can find me. You can find me on Instagram at Justlivin Designs. I have my Ravelry designer page because I am an independent knitwear designer. Link down below as well. Also my link tree that has a few other platforms like PayHip and Lovecraft for those of you that cannot use Ravelry. And let's see, what else is there? My Goodreads is down below. Whatever you need will be linked down below. This is a podcast that I talk about the things that I'm knitting or crocheting. I might have designs, I might not. I might be working on designs, or I might be re-knitting some of my patterns because I have a tendency to re-knit a lot of my sock designs at least. But yeah, it's just where I want to show off the yarns that I'm using, the indie makers, the bags, you know, the stitch markers, all those things. Give them a little show, and also other designers. If I'm using other people's patterns, I like to show those too. I think that's everything. Since it is the first podcast at the beginning of the month, last time I was right at the end of August, I do have my in and out grams of yarn. I had a lot more in last month than out. I had 1,420 grams in. Part of that is I bought like some really big giant acrylic yarn from Joann's to make the Stella Quit blanket. Decided I didn't want to make the blanket, but decided to make the pillow. So I'll be using some of that in the pillow. And then I got a prize from the Yarn Bar, my local LYS. That was 400 grams of yarn. So even though I didn't buy it, I am putting it, it's coming into stash. It goes into my stash. Out, I had 668 grams. So a lot more in this last month than out. Hopefully we'll all even out throughout the year, because for the most part, I've gotten more out than in. I think there's only been now a couple months that I haven't. So here's hoping. We got a few more months to go. I also only finished 5 items last month. 3 of them were socks. 1 was a design and 1 was the Musselburgh hat. I do work on a lot of things that are longer term projects or designs, so it just takes time to get projects out sometimes. All right, let's go right into what I'm wearing. And what I'm wearing is a new design that was released for Warm the Line. I am wearing a Warm the Line shirt from 2020. That was their first year that they started this organization. It's a charity knit organization to for us knitters, crocheters, sewers, whatever, make warm weather items that can either be sent to a drop-off location, or some local towns like my town, the Yarn Bar is a drop-off location, for cooler climate places for voting lines. So voting lines can get quite long. If you're standing out in the cold for longer than you'd like, we are trying to pass out things that are just donated knit items. So this is this year's design. This is my 3rd year designing something. I've always done hats. This one is called Give Me Stripes. I have another version here. So it is just stripes with a little bit of texture and slip stitches. It is a worsted weight hat, has 6 sizes from child up to large adult, and a folded brim, and it's free. It is all my designs that I do for Warm the Line are free and always free. I never charge money for them, so you can use them for Warm the Line or other, you know, I'm not going to make you knit for people in the voting lines, but that's the purpose of my designs, is for people in the voting lines. Like I said, this is my 3rd design. My first one was the Rise Up beanie. My second one was Rough Road Hat, and then this is Give Me Stripes. So 3 patterns so far. You can find a link to this down below. I will also have a link to Warm the Lines page, so you can go check them out. And they do have an Instagram. It's called at Warm the Line. You can look at their Instagram page as well, and they have different lists of yarn shops or other individuals even sometimes that are accepting donations. I do want to clarify, I have a window open right now, so if you hear some, like, it's a little breezy out, hopefully it doesn't start raining because it usually blows into this window if it does. We've been rainy since last night, which is why we're cooler out, so there is a window open. But yeah, that's Warm the Line. It's a great, and I will say I try not to be political on this channel by any means, but I am a civically minded individual, and I believe that every person should vote. So if you're not registered, please register. Make your voice heard. Whatever your voice is, you have your own voice. But yeah, there's Warm the Line. This version is, this is a 3rd size in the pattern, and this is the 4th. Like I said, there's 6 sizes. This one is a little bit smaller. I can still wear this one, but it fits my daughter's head a little bit better. She has a smaller noggin than I do, so this one is hers. And oh, the other thing I wanted to mention about this is that it only takes, like, this hat I think took about 5 grams. This one was about 7. This is a superwash version, non-superwash version. It doesn't take much yarn for the stripes. So little bits of scraps, it's great. And then, this I think was about not even 50 grams of the main color, and this was not even 40 grams of the main color. So, all right, there's that. That's my finished object. One of my finished objects, actually, I think, was one of these hats as well. This one. And that one would have been finished for last time. But yeah, there you go. New design, free design. Everybody loves a free pattern. The other thing I want to mention right away is a couple episodes back, I announced the 24... it is raining. I'll be back. Back. Yeah, it started raining. I could see it on the window. This is our bedroom, and the window faces the west, and a lot of the storms we get come in from the west or southwest or sometimes northwest, but it always seems to come from the west. So, and we don't have an eave over this part of the house, so it just comes right at the window. So I can't have the window open when it's raining out, or else it rains in the house. Yeah, so where was I? 2 episodes ago, episode 24, I had announced the giveaway winner for the 800 subscriber giveaway. That person never got back to me, so I redrew, and I will put a little thing somewhere of the drawer's name. It is Fern Mama Makes. You can just either get to me on Instagram, DM me, because I know you follow me and stuff on Instagram, or you can email me. My email is listed down below with a pattern of mine of your choice, and I will, and your Ravelry username, and I will send that to you. If you don't use Ravelry, I'll get it to you another way, but if you do, please do Ravelry. All right. So I think that's all the big, like, admin-y and new design stuff at the beginning. Now we're going to get into the other finished objects. I have 2, and then I'll talk about whips, and then I'll talk about acquisitions, and then reading, watching, life stuff like usual. So if you guys are only here for the yarny stuff, that'll be over after acquisitions. All right, first FO is my socks for last month. This was the mystery stash yarn that I put together at the beginning of the year with my daughter's help. And this is Patton's Croy. Can't remember. It was like gray marl or something. I don't know. I will have the project linked. And then this was like leftover or other Patton's Croy that I hadn't stashed that wasn't in that bag. So I used that for the contrast heels, toes, and cuffs. These are going to be some gift socks for my brother. It is my GHFSS socks pattern. Good heel for self-striping yarn because it's got a heel flap and the heel turn is square. So it has a smaller gusset and fits really well, but still doesn't disrupt the stripes as much. These turned out really nice. They didn't quite match like I think I talked about last time because I had this one past the heel. They didn't quite match, even though I started them off at the same stripe. So, you try. But yeah, I love these. I love the color. I love how they turned out. I added a 1x1 rib for the cuff, 3x1 for the body of the sock, and my pattern. I think this is the 64 stitch count because Patton's Croy is a bit of a thicker yarn. I usually use like a 68 stitch count for men's socks. Generally, most of them have wider feet in my family, but since this is a little bit of a thicker yarn, I did the 64 stitch and it should work out all right. So another Christmas gift done. And then this is a pair of socks. I don't think I started these last time, but I started them at the beginning of the month, I believe, or right before the end of the month. Yeah, it was right before the end of the month, I think I started these. These are another good heel for self-striping yarn, GHFSS socks. My daughter likes this heel, and these are some socks for her. She likes shorties. They're a little bit taller because she wears high top Converse, and they just stick out of her high tops just a little bit. So they're not too short for her Converse, but yet you still see a little bit of the color. Again, 1x1 rib for the cuff and 3x1 for the foot because everybody in my family likes rib socks. This is Gingerbread Inn, I believe was the colorway name. It was one of the Advent, 4 Sundays of Advent skeins that I got last year from Legacy Fiber Arts. It had a different color for the contrast. This was left over from a previous skein of the contrast color because it was like a mini, they're micro sock sets. So it was like 50 grams of the main color and then a 20-gram mini. That was part of that Advent. And so yeah, she really likes these and now she can wear them because now I showed them to you. But yeah, this was my last pair of shorty socks for the year because we're kind of getting ready to be wearing longer socks soon, even though we were in the 90s just this weekend and the beginning of the week. Now we're like, I think today will be in the high 60s, I think is our high. I don't know, but it got cold last night. It will be back in the 80s this weekend, so it's up and down. All right, whips. I will go, I have 4 whips to show you. I'm not showing you everything I worked on over the week, but I will show you the main things. The first one is, I started some Halloween socks finally. And this is my son's Halloween socks. I got one done and then I cast on a sock for my daughter for her Halloween socks. And when I get, oops, wrong way. When I get her first one done, then I'll probably cast on the second one for this one. We'll see. Or I might cast it on just because I'm getting to the point where that other one is going to be done pretty soon. Anyways, I should record a tutorial for this too. But this is my son's Halloween sock. I'm using my trusty top-down sock pattern. It has a heel flap and gusset with a standard turn, so the gusset is longer. This is a 52 stitch count because he has skinny legs and this is kind of a thicker yarn. And then, yeah, it's a garter edge heel flap, so it's easy to pick up in. The yarn I'm using is Bumblebee Acres yarn or fiber farm. I bought this, I think, last year. And it is their Coquette sock base, which is a 75% superwash Corriedale wool and 25% nylon. It is more of a rusticy feeling yarn. It's a bit warmer than the merino ones that I've done in the past. I do love this base a lot. It does felt a bit. So my husband and my daughter, I don't know how I don't think my son is as hard on socks, just like me. But my daughter and my husband are harder on socks. And so I've made this kind of yarn for him before, and they felt it a bit on the bottom. So I'm not going to use this for him anymore, but we'll see if it works for my son. The colorway was Pumpkin Ghoul. I just love how it turned out. I did use a contrast. I think this was Yarnaceous Fibers and our Salta Fingering, La Brea Tar Pit. I bought one of those last year and I just keep using it for contrast. It's a nice charcoaly gray. And so I just did a 1x1 rib for the cuff and then used the rest of the yarn because I don't like changing the rib without having a color change. That's just my preference. And I prefer to knit a sock in 3x1 because they all like rib socks, like I've said so many times. So that is that. One sock done. And like I said, here's like the rest of the yarn. It's a lot of yarn. It's also a loose cake right now. And this is in one of my favorite sock bags from Rainworks. So you see it probably almost every week. But it's a nice little sock bag. And then my next sock is my daughter's Halloween sock, which is actually the mystery yarn for September from my stash, mystery stash yarn. And this is the Wednesday Club from Freckled Whimsy. It's awesome. I had my husband actually get into the box that I have these stored in and grab a skein, and he picked this one out, which I thought was very appropriate because I wanted to start knitting more Halloween socks. The colorway is You Can't Wake the Dead. It is an 8 straight repeat from last September. So that's the other thing that I thought was kind of fun. So here's the yarn. It's all twisted around, of course. So this one I'm knitting toe up. And I'm gonna put in an afterthought heel, so those blue markers, kind of with the ribbing, it kind of flips it around, but that's where my heel will be for her. She said she wanted it in the contrast color, but it's gonna be in this darker stripe, so we'll see. I'll ask her what it is. I did not buy a contrast color with this back when I was doing this club, but I had the early fall set from Yarn Cafe Creations mini skein set. And I believe this is, I do have the tag. So this is Yarn Cafe Creations, and this is Eggplant that my daughter picked out to go with this. I think it goes very well in that, and she loves purple. So of course she gravitated towards a purple skein, but it's not a color that's in here, but it goes with these colors well. So I like that. But yeah, so I am, getting there. I will have a little bit further to go on the leg, and then I'll add the cuff. But she likes taller socks as well. Not quite as tall as my son, but I generally want, when I fold it in half, I want the cuff to be just a little bit longer than the foot, is how I usually go. I was working on this last night. Oh, and this is a charm from Charmed and Dangerous, Little Raven. Thought it was apt to use a raven for a Wednesday Club yarn. And then I'll show you my blanket. The one blanket that I've worked the most on this last couple of weeks is my granny stripe. I've been generally picking it up in the morning and doing a row or two. I believe I have the amount that I cast on my Ravelry project page if you're curious about that, but it's fingering weight yarn, either 20 grams leftovers or mini skeins. And you've seen it lots of times, but there's the bottom, and all these markers mark when I picked it up, because I think I started this in 2020 and just put it down. And so like when I picked it up to start working on it this last spring, this is where I was. And then I have it marked out every month. All these markers in there are kind of every month that I've worked on it, how much I've done in a month. This marker that's off to the side is from last podcast, which was right about at the month marker. You can see I only did a little bit more after the podcast, but I've added, that many since last podcast. So I'm on the last color of the magic knot ball. That's how I put the yarns together, is I just wind like 4 or 5 colors together. Like I said, this 20 grams of either leftover sock yarn or minis that I just wind together and do a magic knot, because all my knots are actually still on the back of this, because I'm going to wash it once before I take care of like snipping the ends and stuff. I just want to make sure they're secured. But yeah, so this is all I have left of this one. This one is a little bit of that coquette sock as well from the Bumblebee Acres Yarn and Farms. I believe it was a Stephen King colorway. I read the book. Can't think of the book's name, but I made the socks earlier this year. So this is left over from that. And yeah, I'm on that color. I just started that one this morning, so I'm loving this. I measured it the other day and I was like at 38 inches or something, and I want to get up to between 60 and 68. So I'm more than halfway done. I don't know if I'll get it done before the end of the year, but this one for stash, when I make up the magic knot, I weigh that magic knot ball. And once I finish that magic knot ball, I add it into stash, or into scrams out, because that's when it comes out. Some of my other blankets, I won't have the measurement of how much comes out until they're actually all the way done. So this one I'm kind of measuring as I go. So I guess that makes me want to work on it more, because I'm getting some of the grams out of my stash right now, even though the other one would be a big amount out when I'm done. It's, psychology. All right, last one that I wanted to show you guys is one, I think I showed it on the podcast sometime last year. So this is a whip that I started in the spring of 2021, I believe. It is a design. I don't know that I'll ever actually get it published for you guys, just because I've come to realize that I don't like grading sweaters. I don't like doing all the maths and I know I can pay somebody else, but again, I've talked about this before. I don't sell enough patterns to make that extra. I do get big designs like this. I have a tech editor that looks at my patterns and stuff, but that costs money. And it costs even more money when you ask them to do the grading and everything, because they, need to be paid as well. And a lot of times I don't make that money back on a lot of my designs. But I made a design back in 2020 called Winter Nights. It's a cardigan, worsted weight, that's the same shape as this, the exact same as this, essentially, just worsted weight. This is a fingering weight version of it. Like I said, I might release it at some point, but don't hold your breath. That's all I'm saying. Don't hold your breath. But yeah, I want to say I showed it on the podcast once, and I think that's what this marker is from, is when I last showed it on the podcast. So this is a drop shoulder cardigan that has the band is knit as you go, and it's got twisted rib details. There's pockets that I have the openings for. I just need to do it. This is what killed me, and it is, I did just over 5 inches of twisted rib, well, half twisted rib, which means it's twisted on the outside, but the inside is regular rib. But when you're doing that flat, you do have to purl through the back loop. Whereas when you're doing it in the round, you just knit through the back loop. this took for a long time because it's like over 250 stitches for my size. And my size is not one of the bigger sizes. So it takes a long time, especially on fingering weight. Anyways, it's worth it in the end. I know I'm going to love it. The pockets, you know, especially being fingering weight, it does fit my phone. It sticks out about like that far, but I doubt I'd ever put a phone in it just because it's like, it would really stretch out the sweater because phones are heavy. But I am one of those people that usually carries a Kleenex around or maybe a chapstick or something. Perfect for something like that. Or even a couple dollars or something if you are somebody that still uses cash. I know a lot of us don't. But anyways, yeah, so since I picked it up just late last week, I think I picked it up, finished the ribbing. That took forever. And then I picked up the first, here's the first sleeve. Picked up the first sleeve and worked on that and got that done again. Twisted rib at the cuff. I'm almost to the cuff on the second sleeve. I just have a few more rounds to go and then I'll be on the cuff on this sleeve. And then the last thing I have to do is the pocket linings. And this one I decided to do, so the yarn I'm using is Barrett Wool, Wisconsin Woolen Spun Fingering Weight. It only had enough, this I bought, again, it's over like 3 years ago that I bought it. It didn't have, it just has small batch and has a number on it. It didn't even have the like colorway name. And I think one of these I wrote it on. Oh, Quaker Gray, because I looked back at my order from them to see if I had an actual colorway name, and it's Quaker Gray. So I wrote it on one of the labels. And I love this. This is very similar to like Loft. If you've ever done Brooklyn Tweed Loft, it is very, very similar feel. Lovely. Not quite the same. It's not the same fiber, I don't believe. It just is, they just say wool, I think. Whereas the Loft is like Targy, I think, which this is Loft. And this is leftover. I can't remember what, it might be sap, this color, but this is what I'm going to do for the pocket linings because I love to do my pocket linings on sweaters in a different color. So you just get like a little, where's the pocket? A little peek of the color. So next time we come back, I'll probably have this done and you guys can see it in its glory, not all bunched up and weird. Actually, right over here, I'm getting up again. Here's one of my versions of my worsted weight of Winter Nights cardigan. So you can kind of see, has exposed seams. And there you can see the pocket color I have in this one. There's the inside of the pockets. Long ribbing didn't bother me as much because it was worsted weight. But yeah, twisted rib. I love this sweater. I have 2 of them. This is the one I probably wear more often because it has closer to 8 inches of positive ease, whereas the first one I made was 12. And I personally have found out that I like the fit of an oversized sweater that's not too oversized. I like how it looks on me. I like not having all that extra fabric, all those things. So this is like the second size of the pattern, I think, whereas my first one was the 3rd size. I love it. I wear it a lot, especially when it gets cooler out. I wanted a lighter weight version, which is why I started designing that one. And then I just put it down because I was like, too many other things. As we do, yeah. So hopefully next time this will be done. I'm sure it will be. I'm going to work on it today. And then this is in a bag. Do I even have a tag? Was it Birdie Parker, maybe? I can't remember. I don't see a tag in here. Or out here. Is Birdie Parker a bag designer? Or is that the jewelry designer? I'll try to look it up and see if I can find out who this bag designer is and link it below if I do find out. But this came out years ago and it's an RBG bag and I love it. And this is barely fit in there at this point, even though it's a fingering weight sweater. It's just, it's that woolen spun that kind of just, and it's almost done too. So it's quite a big sweater. All right. I think that's it that I'm going to show you for whips. We'll go into a few acquisitions. I love Halloween. So there's some Halloween yarn. Even though I have a little bit of Halloween yarn left over from the last few years that I've purchased. I usually don't, when I buy Halloween yarn, I rarely knit it that year. I usually knit it the next year or the year after. So the first one that came in, let's see, was a new to me dyer, Gaddy Yarn Co. She had a bit of a sale on her Halloween yarn or on her yarn in general. And I picked up these two because I thought they were great. So this is her Tabby Sock, which is 75-25 superwash merino nylon. This colorway is Witch's Brew, and I thought it would be perfect for my daughter. She loves her purples and she loves her neons and she just loves all the things. And then this one was Headless Horseman, which I gravitated towards more. And I know that like my son especially might like this one, or my husband. So who knows who will get these. These will probably be my daughters. But yeah, those are great. I gave her a follow on Instagram as well because I'm enjoying these. And then Sarah from Murray Wool and Wool Goods, Wool and Company. She always has some fun sock yarns, and she just had her Halloween update recently. And she started using a lot of people. I've seen this. It's more of a newer base that people are dyeing on. It's the neon tweeds, which I think go really well with like those Halloween colorways. So I got two in the neon tweed. This one is, I suggest we form a calming circle, which is, if you know, you know. Oh, there was a squirrel just running around my roof. Don't know if you heard that, but I did. Yeah, so this is a neon tweed sock, 85-15 superwash merino dongonal nep. Doesn't have, I wonder if it has nylon in it. Most of them usually do, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, these will probably be for my daughter. Again, that's really into her color jam. And then the next one I got was Graveyard Bats. I got onto her update a little late. There was another one, I can't remember what it was called, colorway that I really liked, that I didn't want it on tweed. And this one I would have probably preferred not to be on the tweed, but they didn't have it anymore because I got on the update a little late. But I still think it looks good with the tweed. Anyways, same base, love it. So these will go into stash. Probably for next year, because I've already cast on my socks for my son and my daughter. I still have to make my yarn, or my socks and my husband's socks for Halloween. I try to do Halloween and Christmas socks for everybody this in the year, because those are the holidays that I like to seasonally make socks for. All right. Oh, the other acquisition was actually a bag that has my daughter's Halloween socks in. This is a bag from Fat Squirrel Fibers. She had her Halloween update recently, and she usually doesn't do a lot of sock bags. This is one of the two designs she had in sock bags. There was one that was black cat faces that was kind of cute too, but I am, even though this is a little pastel-y for me, it's still like fall pastel-y, so I can handle it. And it's ghosties. I love ghosts, and it's, you know, buffalo check, gingham, whatever you want to say, plaid ghosties. So awesome. yeah, that's all my acquisitions. Let's see. Let's go into reading and watching and life stuff. So if you're here for the yarny stuff, that's all done and over with, and you can go if you would like. But if you want to hear what I'm reading and watching and all the life things, then stick around for a little bit longer. Reading, I finished 2 books. I finished The Secluded Cabin Sleep 6 by Lisa Unger. I was listening to that one on my Libby app from the library, and I had to return it a few times because I didn't get it done in time. But luckily there wasn't ever a long wait for me to get it back. So it was all right. I liked it. It was, it's a thriller type book. It was good. I kind of figured it out, but not 100%. So I liked it. The next one I finished was a Freida Mcfadden book, No Lie. That one I liked a lot. I do like Freida Mcfadden. I've come to realize I like, I think her writing style is easy to read. The story flows well. And I don't always know who the bad guy is. Or at least not the whole story of the bad guy until the end. So it's nice that I can't always guess what's going to happen. That's why I like her books probably. And then I'm still reading The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. It's the 3rd of the trilogy of the Elfham series. And I'm enjoying it. There's usually 2 parts in all those books. And last night I just got done with the first part. So I'm just going to start the second part tonight because I generally only read books at night. All right, watching. Let's see. I started rewatching Stranger Things just because it's that time of year. It's spooky season. I want to watch some spookier things. I've watched the whole series up to this point already. I rewatched Wednesday. That was good. I started rewatching Gilmore Girls because I love the Gilmore Girls, and when I don't know what else to watch, that's one of my go-tos, that and Buffy. The family, we had one night that we had a family movie night where we watched Scott Pilgrim Saves the World. The kids had never seen it, so that was fun. I hadn't seen it for a really long time, and it's a crazy, nutty movie. But I like Michael Cera. I've always liked him as an actor. NFL football started, and I am a big football fan. So watch football whenever it's on. I'll watch it. I don't like certain teams. My team is the Denver Broncos, which is helpful because of where I live in Montana. That's one of our local teams, so we actually get their games generally, unless they're really sucking, then we don't. Which the last few years, they haven't played all their games. We'll see how this year's goes. We have a new quarterback again, but he's young, so we'll see how he gets going. 2 nights ago, watched the presidential debate. Like I said, I'm very civically minded. I pay attention to politics. I pay attention to what's going on in the country, and I will make my voice known, not on this platform, but in a lot of them I do. And I just will say, please vote. One more time. Please vote. Let's see, what else is there? That's all I've been watching for the most part. And, podcasts and stuff. Life stuff. A lot of stuff has happened in the last 2 weeks. So when I last recorded, it was right before Labor Day weekend. And we went to a Mustangs game, which is our local, minor league baseball game team. It was one of the last few games, home games that they had for the season. They lost, but it was still fun to go. We always enjoy going to the games. So that was fun. And then my daughter had been painting her room. She started back at the beginning of August maybe, and then we went on trips and other things, and she was doing most of it herself, but the ceiling my husband did, some of the cover up trim work my husband did, but she did most of the painting herself. And if you can tell, my podcast area looks more normal again because all her stuff, except for this is back in her room, which she really wanted to get it done before school started, which she did. Then over the weekend, no, it wasn't last weekend, or it was last weekend, they decided, we had all these, I always call them boob light fixtures in the house. That type of light fixture that kind of looks like a boob's coming out of the ceiling. We have those all over the house, and a few of them we've changed out over the years, and they were in the bedrooms, the kids' bedrooms. So we got a new fixture for her, or we were planning on getting a new fixture. One of the things we wanted to get was a ceiling fan, because our bedrooms are upstairs. A lot of nights you don't really have to have the air conditioner going if it's cool enough, but having some airflow is helpful. And so we have a ceiling fan in our bedroom. It's actually running right now. But the kids didn't have ceiling fans in there. So we put a ceiling fan in her room. My husband's an electrical engineer. That is something he can handle very easily. Rewiring, stuff like that. So that was done. And we still need to get one for my son's room, but we'll probably put it in there before we actually paint his room, just to get some airflow going. I mean, we've been in this house for so long. It's amazing it's taken this long, but that's just what happens. Anyways, yeah, so that got done. So her room is basically all done. She just needs to, I think, just hang up this last thing. Most of the stuff got hung up in her room. What else? Let's see. School started after Labor Day. Our kids I have 2 kids, and they started 10th grade and 7th grade. And what they do in both middle school and high school is the first day of school, which was the Tuesday after Labor Day, they only have freshmen / 6th graders come, or new students. And since my kids were neither of those things, they didn't have their first day of school until Wednesday after Labor Day. And so school is full on running, and everybody's getting busy, which is kind of nice. I don't have to deal with anybody like popping in during the podcast. So my husband works from home, but he's downstairs working, so he generally doesn't bother me. And the dogs are generally quiet. Sometimes they're not, but you'll hear them barking. I have 3 large dogs. I don't think I've ever shown them on the podcast because, one, I don't have them in here, but I could put pictures up at some point. If you guys want to see pictures of my dogs, let me know. And then let's see, what else? Soccer started as well for my son. He does the like city league soccer, and this is the first year that he's doing 11 on 11. He's old enough for the bigger fields, the full team, and it's co-ed, so he has boys and girls on his team. They had their first game last weekend, and they won, so that was fun. He's very competitive, so he doesn't like it when nobody likes to lose, but he really doesn't do well when they lose. He takes it very personally. My daughter is also reffing for soccer matches, and she can ref for any soccer match. It doesn't just have to be the city leagues, it's anything. So, but yeah, so she reffed a couple of games last weekend. It was hot on Saturday, and she was very warm when she got done because she went for my son's game, and then she had a break before her games started that she needed to ref. So we went and got lunch, and then she went to her games and didn't get done until like after 5:30 that afternoon. And I went and picked her up, and yeah, she was very warm because it was in the like mid-90s by the end. This weekend's not supposed to be quite as warm, so hopefully things go well for everybody. Let's see, what else? Oh, earlier this week, it was quite smoky out. There's been, we live in Montana, there's fires all the time. Today was the first time our like air quality was back down to good for I don't even know how long. We've been moderate, unhealthy for sensitive groups, unhealthy. Earlier this week, it was unhealthy. I mean, you could smell the smoke earlier this week because the fires were close enough and big enough. Yeah, so that's always been fun. We've been up and down on temperatures. Like I said, we were just up in the 90s. Now it's like not even going to hit 70 today, I don't think. And then it'll go back up. So still getting stuff out of the gardens. My pumpkins, I have pie pumpkins that I planted this year for the first time. And I put them in a big like metal tub just so they wouldn't take up so much space in the gardens. Because I only have like a few small 4x8, two 4x8 raised beds. And a pumpkin plant will take up half of that. So I didn't want to do that. So I put them in a bin up by the patio or the back deck, and they're spreading out. And finally, just like in the last few weeks, I've gotten pumpkins to grow. I've had flowers on them forever and never a pumpkin. And now I have a pumpkin about this big and one about this big, and they're, you know, still green, but they're pie pumpkins. So they won't get bigger than generally that. They don't get super big. But I told my husband, I was like, if it gets too cold and it starts to freeze, I'm going to make you lift up that barrel, which is heavy. It's full of dirt and, you know, and put it in the wheelbarrow. And we're going to roll it in the garage. And then during the day, we'll just roll it out and let it get sunlight. And then if it's going to freeze again, it's going to go back in. So he's like, really? I'm like, I've got pumpkins. I want to, you know, because we love pumpkin baked goods. And I was like, wow, why don't I grow my own pumpkins then? And the fact that they're finally growing, I want to actually have pumpkins. Might be crazy, but I don't care. I want the pumpkins. So yeah, still gardening. Still getting stuff out of the garden. Lots of carrots. Still just a ridiculous amount of carrots because I didn't thin them. I think that's about everything. The Knit Your Own Adventure Summit starts today. The Thursday. You probably can still sign up. I'll put my link down below for it again, just in case. You can probably still sign up for it. I have no idea. But I'm presenting on Saturday, I believe, is my time for presenting. I mean, I've already recorded it. It's there, but I'll be on the Facebook for questions and other things like that, for the group of that. So yeah, my presentation about stripes, I love stripes, you know this, is going to be on Saturday. That is, like I said, starting today, and then it goes through the weekend. So yeah, if it's a free summit, but you only get to watch the things for like 48 hours, I think, after they're launched each day. So if you want it for good, you have to buy the expedition pass that you can access all the videos, plus all the bonus materials, plus all the other things beyond that. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I was very happy to join in. And like I said, yep, that starts today. So this will come out tomorrow on Friday, the 13th. Love the Friday the 13th, by the way. So, yeah. So that's going on. Any other life things? I think that's everything. I don't think there's anything else coming up this next couple of weeks, other than the next time I podcast will be my 1-year Potterversary. I started on September 20th. I looked this up. I started September 20th last year. I got off on my schedule, so maybe I'll podcast again in a week, just because then it would be back on schedule and it would be the 1 year. Maybe. We'll see. If I don't podcast next week, I'll podcast in 2 weeks. I don't know if I'll have enough material to do next week. We'll see. But I'm excited. 1 year of doing this, and I'm very happy. And I don't usually say this, but please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Gets me more out into the YouTube universe, so more people find me. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. That's my plug. I generally don't say it. I do have a little thing at the end that I write, but I generally don't say that. Because I do this, you know, I love the knitting community, and I would like to build this community a little bit more on YouTube, but I have a growing Instagram community as well. I love to knit, and I love to share my knitting. So I hope you guys all had a good 2 weeks. I'm sorry this one's a little long again. I get rambly. I I'm excited for fall. I'm excited for Halloween. I hope you guys are too. It's my favorite time of year when it gets cooler out. All right. Well, yeah, you guys have a good 2 weeks or 1 week. I don't know when I'll be back again, but thanks for watching.